video is going to show you how to transfer your grades from Google Classroom into Teacher Access Center on PowerSchool. So first, let's go to Google Classroom. And within Google Classroom, you want to go to an individual grade. But in order for this to work, the grade has to have been returned. So when I look at this, it cannot be like here, these are draft. They cannot be in draft. They need to have been returned. Secondly, you need to make sure that each student has a grade. So for students that haven't turned something in, you're going to have to give them a grade of a 0 in order for it to transfer. So I'm going to go to an individual assignment, and I've already graded these, I've already returned them. I'm going to go to the settings tab, or the settings wheel, and it gives me three options: copy all grades to Google Sheets, download all grades as a CSV, or download these grades as a CSV. So these grades is going to be just this individual assignment. All grades are going to be all grades that you have in your Google Classroom. I tend to download all grades because I don't want to update every single individual assignment. Typically, I'm going to do like one day a week, twice a week. I'm going to go in and update grades. So I'm going to download all grades as a CSV. So then you'll have it pop up down here. There's a download. So I'm just going to open it. Now, in order to transfer over to the tax system, you need an identifier for each student that's not the name. So our identifier is going to be the student ID. But here we have the student email address, not just the student ID. So I have to get rid of the rest of that. So I'm going to insert, I'm going to go to column D, welcome, and I'm going to insert a column. And then I'm going to insert another column just to make sure that I have enough space. Then I'm going to choose column C, the email column. I'm going to go data, text to columns. I want delimited. I want other because I want to get rid of or basically separate it after, or the number from the at students, etc. So I'm going to put in other and get rid of tab, and that's going to be the at sign, I guess. Next, finish. And now we can see in my CSV file that C has been separated from everything else. So I'm not going to need these two parts. So I'm just going to delete those columns. The next thing, I'm allowed to have a header, but I don't need 3 headers. So I'm going to get rid of the dates and the points. And hopefully you don't need this information because you've already entered the assignment into TAC. And lastly, I want to sort to make sure that students are in alphabetical order by last name. So I'm just going to do a filter or a sort by column A from A to Z. Now, unfortunately, it knocked my header piece out, but that's not a big deal. Just go back up to 1, just do an insert of a row above, and I'm just going to grab this and copy it and bring it up there. And get rid of this down here. So now I have my students in order from last name A through Z, and I have their separate identification numbers. And then I just need to save this file. And for me, I'm going to make a special folder just called grades. And this is my first hour. So I'm going to save it in my grades folder as first hour. And yes, you want to maintain it as a CSV. So now that's saved. Now I can go to PowerSchool. So once in PowerSchool, I'm going to go to my gradebook. Now you have to have set up that assignment in your gradebook. It doesn't tell TAC that, hey, you have a new assignment and here are the grades. So you have to have the assignment already entered. The second thing is when you're looking at your CSV, we need to know that the ID numbers are in the third column. The ID numbers are in the third column. Okay. Then you need to know the order of your grades. So for me, you can look right here and they tell you the whole thing. So if you need to expand it, you can. So for column D, it's the welcome letter. And for column E, it is the welcome back quiz. So when I go to enter into TAC, this is column 3, column 4, column 5. That's important to remember. So going back to TAC, I'm going to update students' grades for the student parent response. Right below the title of the assignment, you have a little green button, and next to the green button to the right is a mass update scores for the course. And what you can do is you click on that, and it brings up this choices of update scores, clear all the scores, or import scores from a file. And you want to import the scores from a file. You have to choose the file. That's why it's important to save it. I'm going to choose my file. Then it's a CSV. The student ID column number is the third column. And the student grade was in the fifth column. Or no, the fourth column. And then, yes, I want the file has a header row. So I'm going to mark that. Now, because I already had scores in the box, I'm going to override existing scores. But if this was a brand new entry on my part, I would not leave that blank, but I'm going to override it. So then I'm going to import, and then it tells me how many scores imported successfully. So 25 out of 25. Now, if you had only 23 out of 25 in your boxes here in the TAC, you would get a little red triangle, just like if when you were entering grades, if you entered it inappropriately. And that is how you import the scores from TAC. Now, in terms of when you create sheets, like say you're halfway through the quarter, you don't have to, like when you export all the grades, you can get rid of the grades you don't need and just move the grades that you have to enter to the front. So hopefully that helps you guys transfer grades from Google Classroom into your PowerSchool TAC accounts.